Hello. It's been a minute since I made a video. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I want this space to be. I feel like I'm called to speak. I just don't know exactly what that looks like yet. So I'm giving myself a lot of time to figure that out. A lot of ideas have been percolating. The thing that's hard for me about it is that I know it has to be my story. I know that the topic has to be me. And I keep wanting to deflect it in different directions of like, look, I live in Switzerland. How nice. Look at this thing. But I know that it needs to be me. All about me. So in my last video, I talked about getting my body out of survival mode. This for me was huge. This was massive. This was difficult. This took years. And now I feel like I'm coming out of it and I feel so awake. I feel so alive. I feel like the world is vibrant again. I feel like I can wake up in the morning again. I feel like I finally have the energy to pour into myself, which I felt so depleted during the point of deep rest while I was trying to get out of survival mode that I couldn't even pour into myself. So I think that's the most exciting part, is that I finally feel good enough to give myself some love, to give myself some TLC, and to really see myself deeply. So I feel like the next step for me is really dropping down into my physical body and learning to listen to her, learning to hear what she needs from me, what she wants out of life. So for about the past, 6 months, 3 months, that has been my mission, is dropping down into my body and learning to listen to the cues. And I feel like this sounds a lot easier than it is. In the beginning, it was really dysregulating. I could drop down. I would really have to focus, like in meditation, focus on dropping down into my body. And it was really uncomfortable. It felt really unsafe to be here. But the thing for me, and I don't know if this applies to everyone, but the thing for me is that when I'm not in my body, I'm not in my heart. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's when I'm not in my body, I can very easily self-abandon, which is not a place that I want to be in. And it's interesting because I've had some really close friends point out to me that we can be in the middle of a conversation and they can literally see me leave. Like the way that I speak changes, the way that I hold my body changes, the way that my whole energy shifts because I have abandoned myself, basically. That's what it feels like. I would just it was almost like my soul left my body. That's what it felt like. Like my heart space felt empty. And I didn't know how to stay present here. And that's when I started learning about dissociation. Woo! This is such a topic for me. I didn't even fully know what this was before. But one of my good friends sent me a book to read of this woman who told her story about childhood trauma. Let me look at the name of the book. It's such a good book. The book is called What My Bones Know. And this woman tells her story about the childhood trauma that she experienced and the way that trauma affected her life into adulthood. It affected her romantic relationships. It affected her friendships. It affected her career. And my friend basically sent this to me and was like, this made me think of you. I think you should read this. And this, I'm not going to lie, this book kind of fucked me up a little bit because it was almost too spot on, the way that she was struggling within her adulthood. But one thing that she verbalized in this book that I was never able to verbalize for myself was this point of disassociation. Is it disassociation or dissociation? I never know. But I was so grateful to have a word for it, to have a reference point for it, to have a place I could dig deeper. So I decided to dedicate an entire plant medicine ceremony to this dissociation. I've gotten to the point with psilocybin that I'm really comfortable doing it on my own. So I planned out an entire ceremony And my intention was to really find the point of dissociation for me. Where am I going? How do I keep myself in my body? And as the medicine kicked in, I felt that sensation that I felt so many times of like, my heart is empty, my body is empty. And I remember laying there just thinking, don't go. I need you here. I need you to stay here. I need you here. And it was such a powerful trip because I was able to go into my subconscious and find the point in my life where my dissociation turned on. For me, it was when I was, I think, like 20 years old. I had just moved to Switzerland and I was put in charge of being the breadwinner for my previous marriage. And it was almost like moving to Switzerland was such a whirlwind. It was almost like I woke up one day and I was the breadwinner and I was working full time as a nanny, and it terrified me. The idea that I wasn't learning or growing or progressing. I was just waking up every day, taking care of other people's children and going home at night was so soul crushing to me. And also taking care of 3 children who you don't even speak the same language with was so challenging. And I think that this level of almost panic was too much for me to bear at that point, because I felt like I had a responsibility I needed to fulfill. I couldn't focus on my own fears in that moment. And so I just dissociated. It was basically my way of survival in that moment. And I was able to go back as this version of myself now and go meet this 20-year-old version of myself and remove those layers of dissociation from her and let all of that fear, all of that panic, all of that pain out of her. And I was able to feel it and let it pass through me. And I have never experienced that level of fear in my life. The fear was like animalistic. It felt like the energy of the fear felt like an injured deer, like wide-eyed, like the breathing was like a hyperventilation. It was wild. And I was able to release it and let it pass through me and feel it. And even though it was difficult, it was so incredibly beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I was able to do that. And I think that's why I feel right now so awake and so alive, because I was able to remove so many layers. Now, I don't think I've removed every layer of dissociation within myself. I still think that that's something that I, on some level, struggle with. But I was able to make such huge progress. So now the challenge of being present in my body is less, but the challenge is still there. It's still something I need to be practicing. It's still something that I need to be incorporating into my daily life. And at this point, it's kind of like doing daily practices to remember, like, hey, I have a body. It could be something as small as like putting lotion on my entire body. It could be something like doing stretches in the morning or before bed, or listening to what my body wants to eat. I think I'm just sensitizing myself to my body's cues, because I do genuinely believe that my body is so unbelievably wise. I think it supersedes any mental logic, any science. Like, my body knows what she's doing and I trust her. And another piece of that has been connecting with my womb, which could be a whole nother video, which has been such a beautiful experience. So if you're out there and you're feeling afraid to start the healing journey, I really feel like all you have to do is start. For me, in the beginning, I needed people outside of myself to lean on and trust, and to trust that they knew what they were doing in order to help me. That's what I needed in the beginning, until I was able to build up my own trust. And now I know that I have everything I need inside of myself. And that is the most beautiful feeling, knowing that I am in complete control of my own healing, of my own heart, of my own soul. And it's so precious to me. And yes, I can bring in other people. I can choose to go to a breathwork class. I can choose to go to a hypnotherapist. I can choose to go to a traditional therapist. I can go see a shaman. I can choose to do those things. But I can also do healing here in my home on my own. And it's so beautiful. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. I would love to hear your thoughts or if you have any similar experiences. And I'm excited for our next video. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.